Hello, hello. How are you? I hope you are well. I hope you are thriving, and I hope you're ready to dig into the episode today. So, we are going to be talking about motivation and why I think it's fake and why it's not going to help you, and how relying on motivation or waiting to feel motivated or deciding that you can't do something because you don't feel motivated is going to ruin your life. You know what? I'm going to call it like that is going to ruin your life. That habit will hold you back from everything. It will hold you back from the life that you want, and you deserve better. So, we're going to talk about it. But before we talk about it, how do you even know if you're doing the right things? Like, you say that you want these things, but then you're not doing them, or you're struggling to do them, or you kind of do them inconsistently. And then you start questioning, well, God, if it's like this hard, is it even the right thing to do? What should I even be doing? Like, I don't know. And what I find is a lot of people that I work with don't know the next steps, or they say they don't know the next steps. But really, they're just not in the habit of asking themselves, hey, self, beautiful, enigmatic, multitude containing self that I am, what should I do next? And when I ask them, I say, well, what do you think you should do? They always know. So you probably know. You definitely know. And to help you know yourself better so that you are more clear on the next steps, I want you to get my free guide. I created it for you. If you are confused, if you're like, well, shit, Amanda, I don't really know what the next thing is. Like, I don't know, because I don't really ask myself. We're going to fix that, friend. So my confused to clear guide, it is going to help you get stupid clear on who you are as a person, on your values, so that you can start taking aligned, meaningful action to build the life that you want. You can get it for free because I love you and I want you to be happy at livemyhappyhealth.com/get-clarity. Go get it. It's free. You need it. Trust me, it's wonderful. I used it myself. I have used it with other clients, and it is really fascinating to see what people end up with as their top. So go get it. Trust me, you want it. livemyhappyhealth.com/get-clarity. It will help you. Now, let's dig into why motivation is bullshit. Well, you may already know, because if motivation worked, then you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, and you would probably have everything that you want out of life, because motivation works and we do things when we're motivated, except we don't, right? Like, so many people rely on motivation and they get nowhere, or they get somewhere once. Very common, you start a New Year's resolution and you go to the gym for the first month, and then it's hard and then sticky and you have to lift heavier things, and we find excuses, and it's too cold and it takes too long, and insert any number of things here. It's hard. We don't have anyone to go with. The moon is squaring Saturn, and it's the stars. The stars aren't here for it. But that's a problem, right? Because you're relying on motivation. And let me tell you, motivation is an emotion, and emotions tend to only last about 45 seconds when they come up. So you're relying on a 45-second burst to do hard shit. That is not realistic. That is not going to work out for you, friend, as you already know, because it does not work. But a lot of people make a lot of money by telling you that you're the problem. You're not motivated enough. You just need a habit tracker. You just need a journal where you write down things you're motivated for. And they make tons of money on people like you. And I hate to see that. And that pisses me off. So here we are. Motivation is not real. It is real. What I mean is, it's not a really good way to get you the results that you want. We have to stop relying on motivation to get what we want. And you may be saying, okay, Coach Amanda, If we're not doing motivation, WTF are we doing? Because all anyone ever talks about is motivation. And I'm going to give you the answer right now. We are going to be disciplined. We are going to do the things that we have to do no matter how we feel about them, because your big, smart, beautiful brain decided that you needed to get these things done, that these are the next steps to get the life that you want. And if you don't know what the next steps are, it's because you don't know yourself. So grab my guide, Confused to Clear. It will help you. But once you figure out the next steps and you're just like, oh, fuck, I have to do these things. Like, life is a series of doing the things that we have to do so that then we can do the things that we want to do. We can't do it in the opposite order. You can't do what you want and then sometimes do what you have to do, because you end up in survival mode. You end up with chronic anxiety. You end up always running from your responsibilities. And let me tell you, that is a sure one-way trip to misery town. You cannot be a happy, successful adult if you have no discipline. And I'm sure you can probably think of people who have no discipline and they spend their life a victim of the consequences of their own actions because they have no discipline. It takes discipline to do anything that you want to do, to be good at your job, to get a new job, to start a business, to keep a business going, to have a happy relationship, to be healthy, to keep something alive, including yourself. Like, that takes discipline. You can't just do what you want all the time. Or you can, but the consequences aren't worth it, because you're going to end up being a victim of those consequences because you make no decisions, because you don't take accountability, because you are not disciplined. It is on you. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have the life that you want because you're not disciplined. Sometimes the life that we want is not always realistic, or there's systemic barriers, or things get in the way, or some people are more privileged than others, so it's easier for them, right? So we always want to talk about these things in nuance, but I would be willing to bet that at least part of the reason why you don't have the life that you want is because you're not disciplined enough to get it. And that is a muscle that you can get better at. It's literally like playing the piano. How do you get better at playing the piano? You fucking play the piano. How do you get better at being more disciplined? You have to practice being disciplined. It is a practice to do the things that you have to do, or that you know you have to do. It's just a practice. The more that you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So a lot of people, again, rely on motivation, which is not a practice. We cannot just create emotions out of thin air, right? So when you start relying on discipline instead of motivation, what you're going to find is that the things get done way more consistently. And consistency is going to trump inconsistent things that were fueled by motivation 100% of the time. Discipline is going to trump motivation in the long run, because doing something once is not enough to create a sustainable change. You have to do things consistently over time. We are going for the long-term approach here, right? I never, ever, ever want to talk about or try and sell you guys on short-term bullshit, because it doesn't work. And I am not in the business to make your life harder. I'm in the business to make your life easier, which means we have to do the hard things now so we can have an easy life later, instead of only doing the easy things now, and then life becomes much harder later. And this is where discipline comes in. Now, because discipline is a muscle, you can get better at it. So just, again, like playing the piano, you're not going to start off playing like, I should really know some piano songs that are hard. You're not going to start off playing Beethoven and Mozart, right? You're going to start off with like hot cross buns, where you're like, hot cross buns. And then you're going to get better. You're going to go on to more difficult things. So we don't want to discipline our way into like doing way too hard things at once, right? So we're not going to like go to the gym every day and eat right and cook all of our meals and meal prep and start a business and start a new relationship at once. Like, listen, chill. That's not going to work out for you. So we're going to start small. We're going to start with small habits. Getting up a little bit earlier each day. If you normally get up at 7, we're not suddenly going to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. Like, we can start at 6:30, then we can go to 6, then we can go to 5:30, then 5. We can do things in stages, and it's okay, because again, we're playing the long game, not the short game. So we build discipline by first, right? We have a 3-step process to building discipline. 3 steps. Simple steps, not necessarily easy steps, but they are quite simple. 1, we have to know what the heck we want. Okay, so again, get my guide, confused to clear. It is going to help you. But we're going to ask ourselves, hey, self, enigmatic, beautiful, wonderful self, what do I want? What do I want? And I want you to ask yourself, and you can write these questions down, right? They're not all questions, but step 1 is figure out what the heck you want. Now, step 2 is figure out what the heck you need to do to get that. If you say, well, I want a job that pays me $100,000 a year. Okay, great. How do we do that? What skills do you need? What companies do you need to work for? Who do you need to talk to? So we're going to start reverse engineering goals. And we're going to start with the smallest step, researching companies. You want to build 10 pounds of muscle. Okay, well, you probably need to start lifting weights. If you don't know how to lift weights, step 1 would be learn how to lift weights. Find someone who knows what they're doing. Hire a coach. Or don't. There's lots of free resources on the internet. It will take you longer that way, but hey, this is your dream and not mine. So we're going to figure out what the heck we want. We're going to start reverse engineering that and say, okay, what does it take to get there? And we're going to say, what's the smallest step I can start with? Well, maybe you just start with getting your ass off the couch if you're trying to build muscle or lose weight. Maybe if your goal is to eat better, we need to get rid of some of the foods in your pantry that aren't really health supportive. If your goal is to make more friends, we need to figure out where the heck people make friends. Or we may need to start talking to people. That's a great goal. The next one, and this one takes a lot of practice, but it is incredibly valuable, is to accept that you're going to feel afraid and nervous and weird and scared and unsure and probably like an idiot. And you're going to feel like a failure and you're going to feel like you're not ready and you're not going to feel motivated 100% of the time, because just like any other emotion, no emotion is present 100% of the time. So you have to learn to accept that you are not going to feel motivated and that we cannot rely on motivation to get the things that we want to get done. It is just not real. It's not real. Motivation is real. Relying it 100% of the time is not real, nor is it a good idea because it literally will not work. It's like if you want to cut a tree down and you use chopsticks, like it doesn't matter how hard you work with chopsticks to cut this tree down, it is never going to work for you and you're just going to waste your life bemoaning the fact that you have never cut a tree down. Well, you're using chopsticks. You're using the wrong tools. So we don't want to use motivation to chop a tree down. We want to use a freaking chainsaw. Chainsaw is the discipline, right? It works. So we have to accept the fact that you are not going to feel motivated and that you are going to have to build discipline. That is a fact. That's step number 3, I think. Step number 3, you're going to accept that you're also going to feel uncomfortable and unsure and all of those things, and that's okay. We can feel those things. We can feel unsure and afraid and nervous and like we're going to fail, and we can do those things anyway. So discipline is acting no matter how you feel. It's acting despite how you feel. It's saying, yeah, those feelings are present, but they don't change my ability to move my muscles to do the thing that I'm saying I'm going to do. So no matter how you feel, you get up and go to work. No matter how you feel, you show up at the gym, you meal prep, you make a budget and stick to it. Like those things are all discipline practices. So we're going to start building that discipline muscle by accepting that we can't change our emotions. You cannot change them. You cannot push them away. You can't do anything except let them be. Excellent. So we're going to let them be, and we're going to build the discipline muscle. So the more we practice that, the better. So far, we have decided what the heck we want. We have said, oh, okay, cool. If that's what I want, how do I get there? And we have accepted that you are not going to feel motivated. We are no longer going to rely on it because it's also a finite resource, right? Willpower is a finite resource. And so if you're using it all up in the morning to go to the gym and you have none for the rest of the day, well, that's another reason that you're crashing. So we want to rely on discipline, which is infinite because it is a muscle that we can build. And we're going final step. So this one's not super long today. You're welcome. We are going to start practicing discipline. We're going to do the shit that we say we're going to do. We are no longer going to be liars. Relying on motivation makes us a liar. Because if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it because you don't feel like it, you're still lying. So discipline also puts us living solidly in our integrity because we are no longer lying. We show up no matter how we feel. We do the thing that we say we're going to do despite not really feeling like it. And I know that you have some discipline. If you've ever had a job, trust me, you have some form of discipline because I would bet many things on the fact that you have gone to work at least once or gone to class at least once or shown up somewhere at least once where you didn't want to freaking be there, but you said that you would go. You went because you got paid. You went because education is expensive and you were paying for it. Like if you were an athlete, you totally know discipline because sometimes you don't want to go to practice, but you gotta go. That is a discipline muscle. You built the reps, now you're good at it. So we're going to take small actions, right? Again, we're not going to do everything at once and say, well, I'm going to change my whole life tonight. That's not going to work for you. That's why we reverse engineer our goals and we pick the smallest step to do. And every day you show up. Every day you show up no matter how you want to, right? Like I do social media for my business. Every day. The majority of the time. I am showing up. Now, are there days where I'm not perfect? Yeah, obviously. Like I don't have 100% show up rate, but it's about 90%. Consistency over time creates change. You are not changing if you're not consistent, and consistency takes discipline, not motivation. So we're going to take small steps. We're going to build those baby reps, right? If we just started lifting weights, you're not squatting 400 pounds. We start with your body weight. We start with the bar, which weighs 45 pounds. Then we add incremental weights to it. So we have to build and start small, and then we build over time, and we don't jump from a 45-pound bar to a 300-pound squat. We have to build our way up. So discipline is a muscle. We're going to start very, very small. Smaller than you think. If you're like, oh my God, that's too small. Great. Start there. Start there because those little wins are going to build momentum too. You're going to start getting traction and then it's going to be easier to walk. So kind of like how a baby, if you guys have ever watched or paid attention or been around like a baby who's learning how to walk, it takes a really long time to go from like crawling to walking, but walking to running takes almost no time at all. Discipline is the same way. It's going to take a while to build that foundation and then you're going to take off running and it's going to be so much easier for you. So those are the steps, friends. We're going to get super, super clear on what we want. We're going to say, okay, well, if that's what I want, like, how the hell do I get it? Well, we're going to reverse engineer. We're going to say, well, okay, what are the steps to get there? Now, this will probably not be a perfect list because you don't know what you don't know. So when something comes up, you just add it to the list. It's okay. It's just the next step. And you don't have to know the whole roadmap to begin. You just have to know the next step. That's perfectly okay. We're going to accept that we can't change our emotions. You're going to feel many uncomfortable things because we're working towards something new and your little gremlin brain doesn't want you to do anything new. It wants you to stay in your comfort and misery zone where you never grow and you never do new things and you hate your life. I don't want that for you. I want you to have the life that you want and the life that you deserve. But it's going to take discipline to get there. So we're going to accept that you're going to feel all sorts of uncomfortable emotions and it's okay. People don't die from uncomfortable emotions. You just feel like you're going to die, but it's okay. You're going to be fine. And then we take actions to get there. Remember, we want to start small. Smaller than that. We want to just build habits because habits take discipline. And when we can do the small things with discipline, we can do the bigger things with discipline. So we start small and you keep going. If you get off track, if you have to put it down for a minute, if something comes up, that's okay. Because the more that you build that discipline muscle, the less you're going to lose it if something goes wrong. And we don't want to beat ourselves up for getting off track. We don't want to beat ourselves up for not being perfect. No one is perfect. Like maybe Dwayne Johnson 100% of the time does the things he says he's going to do, but like he is an outlier and should not be counted. Us normal people are super good with 85, 90%. Like you are going to have days where you just don't or can't do it. That's okay. Start again tomorrow. That's why we are in it for the long game, not the short game. And if you need clarity on what it is that you're wanting, what you stand for, again, my Confused to Clear guide is free. It's going to help you. It'll take like 20 minutes. And I promise you are going to be like, holy kitty tails, I have so much more clarity, which hell yeah, that's exactly why I built it for you. Now, my little people, my lovely people, go do the steps, right? Whatever it is that you're working towards, stop relying on motivation. And when your brain tells you, well, we can't do that, I don't feel like it, we're going to say, shh, gremlin brain, you are not going to help me get the life that I want. You're just not. So we don't have to listen to you. We're just going to do the thing because Coach Amanda says, hey, you can do the thing no matter how you feel. Which is true, which is discipline. So we're going to start small, we're going to work our way up, and we're going to do the thing. So let me know which one of these was the most eye-opening for you. Do you agree? Or are you one of those people that's like, I feel motivated all the time and it totally works for me? Like, cool, I would love to talk to you about that. Because I think you're lying. But also maybe you're the outlier. I don't know. Let me know which one of these has been the biggest change. And if you have built a disciplined practice, hell yeah. Shoot me a message on Instagram at Amanda_chills_therapist. Or shoot me a message through my website, liveyourhappyhealth.com. Either one is fine. Okay. Happy discipline building.